This year. Well, now we're gonna get me on the recording here. And she'll be invested in the community and she really is excited about this work. And I have no doubt that she will have a really positive impact on the village of Canton. So welcome. I'm so excited to have you be part of the team. And congratulations.
Paige will begin. Will begin her employment tomorrow. And then has to attend the police academy, which will start in August 10th in Potsdam. So, Chief?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we had 5 people that we interviewed. The mayor, trustee, and himself, sergeant of the department. She definitely stood out. She did a great job. And we made the comment a few times that she kind of had a little grit to her. I mean that totally in a good way. Something you probably couldn't take her off, or I think she can handle herself quite well. She really impressed her. I also heard a lot of good things about her mom too. I had to actually call and talk to her mom. So I'm not trying to gain points, but I did repeatedly hear that. Like, who is this lady? No, but I think she's gonna do great. And there's also a chance for her to have some contact with a supervisor from another agency who reported back to me. It's nothing but impressed, and we're very lucky to get her. It's some real, have a lot of faith in this decision. We're going to do well.
Okay, well, the next thing is to swear her in.
Stage. With the flags. Better picture. Yeah, way better. So sorry.
Let me get out of the way. Yeah. Thank you. We're on the other side.
Yeah. I, Paige Laura, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. That I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York. And the Constitution of the State of New York. And that I will faithfully discharge the duties. And I will faithfully discharge the duties of probationary duties. According to the best of my. According to the best. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. All right, don't go anywhere. Oh, don't go anywhere. Hold on. We just want to make sure you don't get the pictures.
I have a tired line that I like to share every time we do this. This is where we get sworn in, and then after today, you start getting sworn at, right?
Congratulations.
I'm excited.
Well, that's all the pomp and circumstance. So. Thanks, everybody, for coming. You want to stay for the rest of this, you can.
They usually don't go over 3 hours. Feel free to stay.
Thank you.
Well, things thin out now.
Yes.
Yep.
Family stories.
Thinned right out.
Yes, Lana, I love the big world here.
Okay. Why don't we go to department head reports? Here, let's see where I'm at here. Okay, first thing on my list is recreation. Megan has a program starting today. She won't be here. If there's anything that the rec committee wanted to report on.
We met and we connected with them. Things are going.
Okay,
It's on, for sure.
the golf report, they're not here. Everything I've been out there the past couple of days with him being gone. I've been getting out and about a little bit. Things are going pretty well, I think.
Just in Scott's report, it was to discuss the FD in new pump station urgently, so. I don't know what the FD is.
Okay.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question as well. What was that item
And-
about? Yeah,
Was that in Scott's?
Yes.
that was in Scott.
Yep, under equipment. Pump station, yeah, it's the-
Well,
Okay. I'm sure it has to do with the, water in the rooms.
Okay.
We can, if you would follow up on that.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know.
That would be good. And talking to Kevin also, he's interested in getting started on this.
Right.
Contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you would, one thing he did say that he had to start ordering in September for next year, so.
Oh,
there's a-
sooner rather than.
Sooner than later,
We're on it.
the deal. Let's see, that's done, historian, and she is not here today. Well, it's summertime, and she has a daughter or granddaughter. that's
Why not?
running around.
Get out of the crowd.
The one thing in her report that I'll mention is that I did ask her to look at the cemetery on Minor Street, and I would like to do something with that. There's some work that needs to be done. The fence is in pretty rough shape. I asked her to do a little bit of research about what we could do up there, resources, things like that.
We mow.
We mow it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of broken stones and some things there that I think could use some attention. Maybe neat things up. I know Tim and I have talked, the trees, there's some trees that are really rough shape up there. We've got several of them, limbs come down, so I kind of put her in that direction, so hope you don't mind.
Not at all.
So I've steered her that way. Let's see. Well, let's go with the clerk.
Not a lot to add. I did want to give the board an update on tax collections. That we're pretty much even with the same time period last year. So we only have $205,000 left to collect with all our taxes.
Really?
Yeah,
That's good.
it's very good. So I just want to update the board on that.
So y'all have been busy, huh?
There it is. I will also say, this is probably the year that we have had the most return checks.
Really?
Oh,
Really? Wow.
huh,
That's unfortunate.
Yes, it is.
that's a problem.
So.
Hmm.
But we have, I mean, people have made good on them now, but it's a.
It's a process.
Right, but it's not,
Wonder why,
it's not the norm for that.
wonder why that would be.
Yeah.
Keep on forgetting how to write jokes.
Yeah. Well, that-
Or making sure they do the deposit ahead of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Just
Uh,
as they go online.
code.
Right here.
Anything to add to your report?
Narrowing down the RFP choices
Mhm.
between fireworks and civic.
Mhm.
Civic plus in favor of both coming in similar costs.
I had talked to Anna and she said she was gonna sit with you on Monday a little bit,
Right,
review some of that. So,
yeah, I have a lot of information. today.
Great.
And I talked to my rep at Civic Plus, we had a good chat today. And, I think we might be able to come in, we're under hours.
Okay,
And then there's some other options. We wouldn't have to get it. However, we could add modules.
great.
I thought Civic Plus had.
Mhm.
And we already use it, so I'm strongly leaning.
Great. This is a reminder to the board, we have a grant for updating the software. And so I think part of this discussion is, great, we have the grant for the installation and all of that, but we're gonna have to budget it in going forward. So
Mhm.
I think we'll probably have information about the selection at the next meeting. Then it sounds like we're there, so that's great.
in addition, you and I will sit down tomorrow and talk about what's going on at St. Lawrence for their
Yeah.
edition.
Absolutely. I have a lot of information. too.
Okay. Okay. Any questions for Tim?
Actually, I was gonna ask, I noticed in your report something about signage is for rent student housing, like against the housing law, are those signs?
Fair housing. Fair housing.
Uh-huh,
It's basically discriminating against. And familial status.
mm-hmm,
You know. There was some complaints in the neighborhood
mm-hmm,
on Lincoln Street, they didn't like the signage, and they were upset that this nice piece of property was just being advertised to students. So we looked into fair housing law that does prohibit that kind of thing, in the sense that it's discriminating. And the property owner complied in at two properties. 15 and 14. I took a couple of emails and
great, I think that's good information for folks to know. We certainly see a lot of those signs, so that's great, thank you.
yeah. Well, thank you.
Okay. Anything else for Tim? Cindy, assessors,
Okay,
a lot of pages in your report.
Mhm.
we got an email this afternoon from the real property tax director, Bruce Green, and he sent down all our time trends over the last 5 years, and looking at the time trends for Canton, residential market, you know, is at 9%. I've been doing this for 15 years. I never saw a residential trend go up 9%. I mean, that's how much the market has been so good here in the town of Canton. And I did submit on my report all the sales over the year. And I don't know if anybody really gave a good look at it, so that they, you know, and it's just it's been coming in. We got a lot of analysis in there. So finishing up data collecting. There's still some street to have left in the village, and St. Lawrence University is a couple of buildings I gotta find. And that's been about it. Anybody have any questions?
I just wanted to ask about the grievance determinations. It was a little faint for me to read.
That's why.
How did that all work out? Not all of this is in the village, so.
Okay.
Like the Holiday Inn, how did that?
Right now, the Holiday Inn, they filed it 3 years now,
And I went with the appraiser that you recommended to me and was trying to contact with him. And he's going to be doing the appraisal on the holiday and hopefully
Okay.
by next month. The attorneys, our attorney has to talk to their attorney and they have to get the income and expenses from the Holiday Inn to be able to do the appraisal. And he has to go through the facility and look at the rooms and
Okay.
the offices and the lobby, all the, and the grounds and everything.
Okay,
So hopefully we'll have a decision soon what that's gonna come in at,
okay. We have used this appraiser before, Jerry, so you're familiar with him.
Right, but I don't think it's going through the village. I think it's through the town.
Yeah, it is, but I just wanted I think you're paying attention to some of this stuff.
Okay, I mean, this hasn't come up for my attention.
Okay.
So
Well,
I imagine it's with Eric and.
Yep.
Okay, so,
yeah.
Yeah, the appraiser we recommended, we've used before for like McDonald's,
okay.
this other property, so.
And the price has been out of town, he'll be back in next week, so they'll be able to get together, but once he comes back in, I know Eric. And their attorney's gonna talk and get it all together.
Okay,
We have a letter of enlightenment of how much is gonna charge for the appraisal.
sounds good. Anything else for?
Well, I'm just wondering, it would help me to know what the column headings are for this. So under determination, I'm assuming the check, the middle column, is some sort of change and the right column is none?
Right,
Is that correct?
right.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Can you get me that form and we'll try to see if it's we can get it out to the board, so
Yeah,
we can read it.
it's
a little
very
bit
hard to
better.
read,
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
It's written in pencil.
right?
Okay.
Maybe we
Then I'll
can,
see if I can make it darker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then if you can get it to me, then I'll get it to the board. Okay,
We had a president for our bar for like over 30 years, and he used to type this stuff, and I was like, well, I can't hold it.
it's okay.
That's okay, yeah, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on then. Economic development. Aye.
I'll just add that, just a reminder that the Canton Chamber of Commerce is having a membership and information session next Monday. And membership voting will also be held next week, either I think at that meeting or at a meeting in the morning. That's voting for the integration into the county chamber. We are a member, so Sally, did you get something about?
I have not yet.
Who's the contact?
Who would get something?
Yeah.
I think it would. Where's, I get the bills, so I'm assuming that.
They're supposed to be sending a form so you can do
For the
the
village.
proxy as well. That's what I,
Right,
and I had another
because a
organization
certain
that's
percentage of
member.
the membership has to
Yeah.
vote.
But I gotta,
Make sure
I'll
that
give it to
we-
the mayor.
Yeah, well, I don't know why we didn't have.
We should have gotten it
And
already.
we haven't though, because
I
I'm
haven't seen it.
part of an organization that's a member, and I went to mailbox today, and there is nothing that. I think they said by the 24th, so. You can also print the proxy form.
I'm with a group that's also a member, and someone from the county chamber dropped it off at my office.
Oh, yeah,
But you didn't get a mailing from. Canton
No.
Chamber.
No,
And when did that happen?
last week.
Okay. I mean, I can send you the form. I can.
Should have a lot of
There's a-
them.
there's a ring on the beach and- I don't know, I sent no.
I would think so.
And in thinking through, I think what they had it had been mailed to somebody at the county chamber, and then someone from the county chamber. Even though it wasn't addressed to me. it was just Rotary.
okay, okay.
So does. So if it came from the county chamber, they would come and fix it? No, I think
it
it
didn't
got
come from,
delivered.
no, I
Okay,
think it was
delivered.
coming from the. It was delivered by them because they happened to come to my office, but I think it was supposed to have been mailed out or was mailed out by Canton Chief.
Okay,
That's me. Like I said, I bring it up because this, a certain percentage of the membership has to vote and has to vote positively, so. I guess we put us, thank you.
Yeah. Good call.
Yeah, the other thing I was just gonna say and add to my report is that, I'm talking about it here, but one of the CFAs that we are talking about is going to be water quality improvement program for shoreline stabilization work for Willow Island project. They pushed that deadline out to August 11th.
I saw that.
So that's actually a great help to us, so we can focus on one, get it done by the 28th, and then, you know, whatever is gonna finish it happens. So.
Okay, anything else? Okay,
I do.
go ahead.
I know you had reached out to Aaron to see if there, you know, where he was in terms of the NEPA for the secondary water source. Because I know we need to sort of, like assure ourselves with Northern Border Regional Commission, yes.
Yep.
That, we're doing everything in the right order. Have you heard back from him? No. I will try to reach out this week. And then my only other question, you've mentioned the Arts Alley Museum in the Streets Working Group a couple of times. I know that's on the radar. Do you have a sense of when and how you're gonna put that together? Is that something we should plug soon?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
There were a number of people that I reached out to when we wrote the application. So some of them are associated with college, so getting them now might be challenging.
Right,
Over the next month or so, maybe.
maybe we can get them together.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the other thing is that, so those are part of the streetscape portion of our American Street, right? And, we need to make sure that those are still the ideas that we want to bring forward, and I need to get from state via extra money for COVID.
right,
Related things, we have to make sure there's a good connection and those things, which. Maybe it's in this time, I mean, we did that at the time.
right,
It's just sort of the process that we need to follow, and we couldn't do streetscape until the actual renovation projects were happening.
Mhm.
Several of those are either completed or underway now, so.
Great.
we can work streetscape stuff, so, yeah, it's something we should be thinking about, certainly. I can't probably do a lot with it until we get through the grant writing stuff, but to think about moving like one out to like those groups.
great.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe ED can talk about that in at our August meeting. Yeah, great, thank you.
I have a very informative email called the Game Chamber,
Yeah,
4 or 5 attachments, including the proxy. I can email it to Sally.
that would be good. Thank you.
I just got it last week.
Okay,
It tells you everything you need to know.
okay.
And Lenore,
Oh, okay, good.
she's kind of heading the Game Chamber, and
Okay,
so I can email to Sally in the morning.
that would be helpful. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Last but not least.
Just to keep it really short, first of all, thank you very much for. The other thing I just want to throw out is, this month we're, the department's doing facial hair. There's a reason for that. We have a member whose mother developed terminal cancer and just like this. So we very wanted to actually have. We look a little scruffy this month, all these.
You had a lot going on this month. Shut down the shop and participated in some drug and other events, so. Sounded pretty successful.
Can you rephrase that?
Huh?
Can you rephrase what you just said?
What did I say?
You said it's been, an interesting month and you've been involved in drugs and some other stuff.
Oh, yeah, drug busts. Well, yeah. I mean, drug busts. Okay, we'll clarify. None of that. Any questions for Chief? Thanks, Jim. Okay, I need a motion to, did I miss anything? Okay, I need a motion to approve, committee reports or, department head reports. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Perfect. Committee reports. I'm sure there's some committees out there that would have some reports.
Streets is working on the Court Street pop-up project. Moving right along, figuring out materials we'll need, volunteers. Kara spoke to St. Mary's Church today to make sure that we get input from them and they're fully aware of what's going on. We'll be talking to somebody from the county for courthouse purposes, so they'll know what's going on. So that's moving right along. See, I think that's about all I got to report right at the moment.
Okay.
And just to let you know that I tonight got back to the email about publicizing, so happy to meet and figure out how to do that. Infrastructure, we haven't met, but that doesn't mean there's not stuff going on. So, you know, basically working on getting information on our, you know, from the engineers and such from on our wastewater, waiting on information to be able to move the secondary water source forward. As you know, I know this is later, but we're having the meeting later to this, what is it, next week, to review materials for the wastewater, the clean water project. So the board will be getting some materials in the next few days for that stuff. Similarly, I think that before the infrastructure committee is, you know, in order to move forward on the remainder of the drinking water projects, you know, one of the next steps that we can and really should do is to do the environmental assessments. So we're ready to go when there is funding. So I think the infrastructure committee will meet and talk about that and bring a recommendation for how to move forward on that to the board, hopefully August. I stay in town at all, will get done. So, and then similarly along those same lines, finance committee we met with fiscal advisors and marketing and Barton and LaJudas about clean water, as well as with Aaron about the drinking water. And so you will be seeing materials at our next meeting for moving forward in those directions. I think that's all the infrastructure related stuff. Economic development, you know, supporting Lee's office as we can, the, you know, CFAs and, you know, setting agendas for EDSC and all that. I did want to mention that Lee and I went to the North Country Regional Economic Development Council meeting in Fort Drum on Monday. You know, wanted to be present and have a face of Canton at these meetings. Informative about Fort Drum. And sort of interesting to hear what they're thinking about. One item of interest is similarly to the many regional competitions that we are all invited to participate in. It seems that the 10 regional economic development councils are invited to compete for one of 3 $10 million awards for their region. And to do so, To, you know, what they have to do is essentially select one of several areas, topic areas, clean energy, workforce development, I can't remember them all, you know, but some of the, what's that?
Housing, recruitment, retention.
Yeah.
Childcare.
Childcare, right, so select one specific area and write a proposal for how that $10 million would be used in their region. And so the North Country Regional Economic Development Council agreed that they would be focusing on, I wasn't sure exactly if it was workforce development or if it was population attraction and recruitment, but obviously those things go together very well. You know, they agreed that that was, you know, the sort of the focus on Fort Drum is what does Fort Drum bring to this area and how can we use, you know, their, you know, presence and benefit to our community to make some arguments for that $10 million. So there you go. Hunger Games for the next level up. So, and then communications and technology. Our website redesign is underway, which is pretty exciting. So we had our the committee has met a couple of times to select pictures and make some very basic but can be changed later decisions around layout. And then we had our kickoff meeting with the with Revise and met with the designer and, you know, made some more sort of selections and much of, you know, which can be changed, but it allows them to have enough information to come back with something of a mock-up website for us.
I think they realize people work best with a thing in front of them that they know they can change. So let's start with something. So this is just a way to get something in the right direction.
Yeah, and you know, the timeline, you know, it's gonna be a few months process for sure. One of the nice things is that, you know, our homepage is gonna have, you know, what is apparently called in technical jargon, the hero section, will
I know. She can see now.
will be a video, which is really perfect because we have our CGI photo shoot coming up in the next month that you will be hearing some more about from us. And so it's, you know, we're excited for the redesign, but you know, it'll be a few months before we can obviously launch. You know, we're gonna have to start doing some content decisions around what migrates over, what can get left behind, et cetera. That's it for me.
Perfect. Thank you. Anything else? Please, please.
I just, in terms of Bright Committee, we did meet, we got lots of updates for the summertime. One of the things that has been reported to us since that meeting is that there's been some graffiti in the community. And that's troublesome to me. And I have mentioned this before, but I think it might be time to really invest in cameras and good cameras so that but that's something that we'll have to talk about that committee can figure out whether it's feasible, but.
Yeah, I got pictures of that mess down there. Been in there.
And it's that, it's often has bathrooms, and it's a little bit. It's not as exposed as a Taylor Park where lots of people can see stuff. So, I just want to mention it.
Yep.
Let everybody know, and that we will continue to have that conversation.
We had some vandalism issues down at Taylor Park. Was it Taylor Park that they had the vehicle tearing up
Yes.
that, right? It's just some vandalism in that
Yeah, that
respect
happens on
too.
occasion down there for some reason.
Yeah,
People doing donuts and putting around some lawns. It's good.
it is.
These are good, nice spaces for people.
Yeah. Okay, anything else? Moving along, communications and information, a couple of pieces I have, I put it in the agenda, so we'll talk about a few of those things that I received in the mail. We'll move on to old business. 64 Main, there is an RFP out. We're looking for proposals for demolition and asbestos abatement. Those are due back to us on August 7th. You got those sent out at the end of June, I think, and I don't know what we've had for responses, but that's where we're headed there. 19 minor, we're just waiting for, you haven't heard from? No, the attorney.
Should I?
No, the attorney, well, the developers and their attorney for an agreement. Okay.
Nobody's.
I will connect with them just to see where we're at. To follow up. I would assume that Lenore and Zvi will be also doing that. I don't know who's around for what right now.
Okay.
There was some people traveling. There's some, so we were all doing a little.
We were
traveling.
all moving pieces.
So I'll follow up on that. I've talked to Vern, he needs a little bit more time, so.
So, I mean,
He's,
Saturday supposedly is. deadline.
right, but I did talk to him and, things are going a little slower.
Clearance
Get over
sale is on.
I'll,
Is that
I'll
right?
I'll go over and see how he's doing.
I thought of you.
I went in,
Did you?
Okay.
All right. Does he have a bunch of stuff? I might
and I
want to.
didn't clean that,
Oh.
Oh,
and one that was used.
Yeah, well,
That's not negative.
doesn't the tag say you're not supposed to do that?
Said it was stained or something. We had a nice chat.
That's all I have on that. Community choice aggregation, I don't know, where are we?
Jewel is anticipating getting new prices in August.
Okay,
And so we should have a report in August on. They're either, they're gonna recommend whether the price is good enough and we should move ahead or not. And we'll know something by the August meeting. Okay.
probably towards the beginning of the month, yes, like
Okay,
that's when
yeah,
we
early
usually hear the
August,
pricing,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
all right.
So, yeah, I'll share anything we get from Jewel. I'll share
Okay.
with everybody.
okay. The other item is the sun policy that we had talked about last meeting. I'd made some changes in there. Clerk looked at it, seemed okay to her, but, I put it out to you for what you think. If it's okay to approve, the idea is that, we're gonna get some signage, we're gonna get some support, to help protect the community and, maybe our employees or workers. Just more education, but we have to have a policy back. So that's the policy. If there's a mistake in there, tell me.
I don't know about mistakes, but I have some questions.
Whatever.
So, I think this is a great idea. When I think policy, I think about implementation. And so this policy seems most aimed at visitors. Right, this is not an employee policy, is that correct? It's simply that the comment about employees is simply if there were an employee that had a problem,
Yeah,
this is who you go talk to.
well, it's a combination of sun safety and outdoor activities. It didn't say specifically recreation. We took the recreation out.
Right,
So, we're looking to work with, the woman that was here,
yeah, Angelina.
Angelina, and,
So do you want to say, under the first sentence under policy, for preventing skin cancer for visitors and employees by encouraging
Sure.
them?
Sure, that's fine with me. I guess I'm back to, okay, let's think about implementation. Whose responsibility is it, right? So like, whose responsibility is it to implement this policy? Is it, and if it's aimed at department heads, I guess, this is what I was getting to with the employees bit. If it's department heads, then, we're talking, okay, our DPW workers, then are there things we need to provide? Not that I'm opposed to any of this, I just want to think it through, right? Like, do we need to
idea-
provide things? Do we need to,
the idea is that you encourage them to protect themselves.
okay,
And, you know, there will be some things available from the, what is it, the, lost.
Health initiative.
Health initiative, for some of this too. So
Okay.
that's the idea. At the bottom, you know, contact regarding policy goes right back to departments.
Right.
I think this is a policy, I mean, recruit transparent here, a policy of awareness.
Yeah.
It's not like we're gonna enforce and make sure that everybody. It's personal preference in terms of how
Yeah.
people deal with
Yeah,
this,
it's
right?
encouraging.
And it's the encouragement and it's just, it's an awareness policy, right?
That's the way I see it.
And I know that we talked about potentially grants and that kind of thing to get sunscreen that might be available at Taylor Park. for
Right.
visitors, which is phenomenal. I think that's a great idea, in case somebody forgets or somebody doesn't have the resources to have it. I totally, you know.
Right.
see
Well,
that
and that's
as
what the
a
health
really
initiative
positive
wants to
thing.
do.
Right, right.
And
So
that's
I'm all
what
about
was
that.
based on their presentation.
But, you know, in terms of implementation, I don't see but resources.
But we're not-
wise.
I don't think we're
Right.
looking for.
So you're looking for resources and not
Right.
enforcement.
Right, I want to parse this out, like, so we are suggesting that people wear this sort of clothing, that they consider wearing sun
Yeah.
protective clothing, that they use sunglasses, right? We're suggesting these things, and our intention is to put out signage and perhaps sunscreen or
Awareness.
whatever,
Yeah.
in order to remind people that they should do that. That's the.
That's what
sole
that's what the
intent of
program
this.
is, yeah.
Okay, okay. I just, you know,
fine.
a policy then suggests that somebody's responsible to implement the policy. And
And
so I
enforce,
feel like, and enforce it. And so I want it to be clear who
Me too.
and what resources they have.
Well, and I think the policy just says that the village of Kent will promote basic personal strategies.
Yeah.
For preventing skin cancer for visitors and employees by encouraging them.
But I do think it is important to clarify and to say it out loud that it's an awareness piece.
Right.
And we may be able to provide some resources through the health initiative. We're not obligated to, and there will be no enforcement.
Well, but there's no requirement specified
Right.
No,
in the box. Enforcement.
Right.
It's still up. You can see. Hurts.
Okay. 4A, my copy has a 2 at the end of it.
yeah, that was a formatting issue all across that. There'll be a couple other, you know, I'll go back at it. I gave it to you folks last month and then sent out the new edited version.
And again, I think that if we can work with the health initiative and have some.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
point.
Not-
That would be so great.
It's all right.
Okay, so I need a motion then to approve it with edits.
It's like that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. The next item on your old business is just a reminder of our special meeting, the 24th. Will include a bond resolution and completion of the seeker and approval of fiscal advisors.
6 or 6:30.
5:30.
5:30.
I remember that conversation.
Thought I put it, here it is. Yes, 5:30. So those are the three items on there. If anybody has anything else to add to that, let me know. It'll have to be added right away. We're good.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, new business.
Yeah.
I need a motion to authorize payment of vouchers and transfer of funds.
So.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Perfect. We already took care of B. Kind of looking forward to H being around. I sent to you, item C. Community-based projects policy. Very rough draft. It was in an email I sent to you. I think I did put it on the, I don't know.
It's in the drive.
It's in the draft. We need to start discussing that. As I said in my email to everybody, this was, based on, well, the path we went down with recreation. But I think and we had committed to applying this to the village.
Yep.
There's a lot of things that we've done, whether it's the story walk, or some of the other things. Other committees that are out there. I think it's important that we make it clear that there's a process. Be it a committee or another group that wants to come along and do something. But there needs to be process and some control. So that's what that's about.
Guidelines.
Guideline, well, if you read what I changed it based, a lot of it was based on the record
Right.
policy. The toughest part I had was horsing around with that one section in red that I sent you. So I'm certainly open to how we can, make that sound a whole lot better. I make no, take no responsibility for how that sounds, because it just
Just
doesn't.
looking your way.
It's not right.
I don't know.
No, it's not right. I need to figure out how to narrow
Yeah.
that down.
Yeah.
So that's all I wanted to say about that tonight, is that we need to adjust,
I think it's really important, and I think that it, will need to be helpful in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
Again, having guidelines and resources and knowing, informing the residents of the public of what you should be thinking about when it comes to projects, I think is super helpful on the outside of the.
Yep.
Considered.
Right, I think that, laying out a process for people, is super helpful. I can spend a little time over the next couple of weeks on this.
Yeah, I would appreciate that input from, anyone, anyone. I think it may take us a little time to get through it. But I think it's important that it's clear in everybody's.
Yeah.
So,
And I do think we can improve on what we started.
yeah, absolutely. The next item was the CDP funding request. We received that letter. Oh, whenever. We got it. Yeah, it came, I think, after the beginning of July. They're looking for some support. We certainly didn't budget for this. So. Then the purpose of this letter is to request support and funding from the town of Canton, so they didn't get that. They didn't get that part right. They got the village right in the letter, but at any rate, the idea is that they're looking for some funding. I don't know your thoughts on that, if you'd like to consider it down the road. Have we supported CDP in the past? I don't think there's been
No.
any that I know.
That would be considered a gift.
It could be
Not
problematic.
really, unless we could substantiate
Mhm.
some service that they offer.
Mhm. And I think you're right, but I think it's also important that,
No.
acknowledge that you receive this.
Yeah, thanks. I was wondering about that too, when we fund something, there's some sort of agreement with them, there's an MOU of some sort. So what would that be in this case? Also, there is no request, there's no dollar amount.
No, there's no ask.
But yet there is clearly a sense of urgency being communicated here in terms of being faced to, with this decision that they may need to close due to lack of funds. So it seems urgent. I guess I would like to know, can we, and if so, under what sort of auspices? How much money are they looking for, right? Because if they're looking for $50,000 and we give them 5, that's useless. But if it's, they need, $15,000, okay, well, then that's something we could make a substantial contribution to if the first question is true. And then I guess I also, I would like to know more about their situation. You know, where do they usually get their funding? Why is that funding not coming through? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think,
They must have some.
right.
And what,
Well,
Those
if
were all
you,
my
if
questions.
you would like me to reach out to them and talk to them.
I mean, I think that without those answers, I mean, I'm not sure we're gonna be able to try to let them out,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll find out for sure.
Well, I haven't seen the letter.
Oh, you didn't, I'll send you the letter. Yeah. I'll send you the letter.
It seems like they're really, it seems like a cry for help, right, which is concerning considering who they support and how, you know, if they need, they're struggling, then that's a problem for a lot of members of our community, so,
I'll reach out.
thanks.
it receives CSBG grant.
I assume that's
It's state.
D or CS, I think.
Block
Yeah.
grant.
Yeah, they get state funding for certain parts of their operation, like their weatherization program is state funded.
It says
Oh.
it covers only the wages for the center. director. All other support comes from. commissions or something. You can't transfer.
I'll send you this.
302 unduplicated households, so that's not, you know,
It's not-
that's significant.
Okay. Next item is complete streets resolution on Thompson Court. We passed that around. That was signed by Toby, I believe.
Brian Gardner.
Or Brian signed it. Where did I put it? There it is. As we move forward with development, you know, you see what they've requested, that they're included in that, conversation. Yeah, I got it, Brian. So, I don't know if you have any questions or thoughts.
Toby, you wanna give us some thoughts on that?
Sure. The group as a whole has taken the approach of saying there are certain things that we need to communicate to boards.
Mhm.
For both, report to both the town and the village, that need to be somewhat more formal. And so we've taken this resolution notion and decided to put words on paper and say to you, here's our vote, here's what we're standing behind, here's what we'd like to ask or recommend. And this is an example.
Right.
Since the project cuts across town and village lines, building in the back, a new salt storage mechanical building, the need for new roadway, and the incorporation of Thompson. He said, gee, there's a lot going on here, and there's a lot of implication for the safety of pedestrians and non-motorized vehicles. And you have a master trail plan, which incorporates an idea called the Canton Connector for safer passage across Route 11. And certainly now we're going to have more people using the suicide lane to drive into Thompson Court. And, you know, it just goes on and on and on, how difficult it is to get across Route 11. So in considering Thompson Court and the development, we said, we'd like to be part of that. We'd like to have some idea time and some input to the town and village as it gets developed. So that's the reason behind the resolution. Now, since we have the master trail plan, we have the Canton Connector, there's a starting point.
Questions?
I don't have any question. I don't see any problem with that. I mean, I think, you know, at this point, we're just, we're mostly looking for some, engineering, use, you know, and, you know, we have concerns about drainage and other things. So I think we're a minute before we even get to, this piece, but I absolutely, I mean, would have no problem with this conversation.
Okay, let's see. St. Lawrence County request regarding the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States, July 4th, 2026. Getting a head start on this.
Yeah, they are.
They're trying to put together a program and hopefully we're all involved in it. So we'll put that on our radar. If any of you have any thoughts about that, or we got a couple of years, but you know, maybe put together something.
They go by.
Well,
So we put together a can for ADM. I've had more requests for even can.
A parade? No,
I've had some requests for. I don't need to do it. Okay, why don't you? Did you
What- what's that?
request
Right.
for?
What did you handle before? Here you go.
Yes. I mean, I've had people ask why we don't have. And I say, well, why don't you organize a parade?
Great idea.
Yeah, we would love it for it.
Trying to put a parade together for, you know, to compete with all the other parades in the county. It's part of it, you know, the issues. that we have. Yes, but
Yep.
the folks, the Memorial Day, you know, the people involved with Memorial Day, most of them are having trouble walking.
Understood.
And that's why.
That's
pretty much
part of where the conversations that I've had is coming from. People miss that. I've had multiple requests. I've said that.
Maybe, yeah, I might have to be able to figure something.
They're asking
Well,
if we want
yeah.
any community representatives to the commission, which already exists.
Well, yeah,
And they're
that's the
having
other
a meeting
piece. to
in
it.
August.
So if anybody would like to be appointed, if you have any suggestions for appointments. Oh, we gotta think.
I was wondering if Linda's already involved in this.
She might be.
You know, there's the deep history piece of it. I would
How many
imagine.
times in it report?
This would be right up
What's the,
there.
what is the request?
It doesn't say. It just, there's an existing commission.
I think it's more about planning and trying to get
Right now.
something
right.
rolling.
I just appreciate when there are requests out there, what the definition of that request is.
Yeah.
Do you meet on a bi-weekly basis, or do you meet every month, or that's.
That would be handy.
Commission will work with St. Lawrence County Chamber. Oh,
Well, it says in
I'll
August,
leave
they're
you out.
having a county-wide meeting to hear some of the exciting ideas your committee may have. So I guess we should,
give it some thought. We'll put it back on the agenda for
there we go.
next month.
So it's a Ben Dixon thing there. Just go through the county.
No, Jim Reagan's the head of the.
I mean, it's like.
Okay.
James Reagan, Rita Curran,
It's at the end of
there's a group of them that signed on.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Give it some thought and maybe we can put something together for next month. When was their meeting?
When was their meeting?
No, I think they're gonna have a planning audience.
In August. it is.
Specifics.
Well, they also say they want us to appoint our own local 250th anniversary committee composed of leading citizens, business people, veterans, fraternal organizations, educator, historical groups, museums, libraries, tourism leaders, and others who can put together
That
a
is
series
quite
of
a
events and
comprehensive
activities while also coordinating with our county-wide effort to observe this once-in-a-lifetime anniversary. So I think they're asking us to put together a committee.
Well,
and then
there's a
appoint somebody from
combination.
That committee to
Yeah.
their committee.
There's a combination.
So is it worth connecting with someone at the school? You know, to get. Like a history teacher or fourth grade is local history year.
Right, writings.
I know.
Yeah, it would be great.
Yes.
So.
I just said that.
Volunteer.
I thought I texted
Do you know second?
Let him know
So
that
he's not
we're throwing his hat.
Yeah.
I might see him. New job.
I'm sorry, so.
So I don't know. I
So
guess we
give it
do
some
need
thought.
to think about trying to put together a group.
Yeah.
So give it some thought.
We're gonna receive from the six.
Right.
Give it some thought.
So a local committee with the chair that goes to the commission.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what I'm leaning.
Yes, that sounds right.
or his appointee. Designee, not appointee, but his designee. I'm like, that should be something on the agenda for our joint committee coming up. Oh, next week.
Oh,
Good idea.
That's a good idea. Why would the village?
Sure. involve the
Yeah.
town.
No, we should.
well, to
put
get
it
a
on the
group that
agenda,
large.
Mayor.
We're gonna need the town.
Excited about this.
No, this is
Really
great.
fun.
That's already almost all of it.
Sounds like we got at least
I
one
know.
volunteer.
It's gotta be it.
Here's our chance.
There has to be. Do you know?
I think we need to get music at a parade. Okay, it'll be on the agenda for next month.
We have no problems with ideas.
Yeah, it's implementation. Okay. Move along. EV charger proposals.
Okay, everybody has in their email the two chargers that we're proposing to get. We're waiting to hear back from the DEC on further guidance on proceeding. We should hear back within a few days, I'm guessing, on that. But I mostly wanted everybody to see what our potential plan is and see if anybody had thoughts on that, or if that sounds okay to everybody. We'll have one fast charger added to Hotskins Street. And then we'll have a level 2 charger on the back side of the municipal building, where it would be accessible both for, say, future village vehicles or future police vehicles potentially, and public, if we can figure out a feasible spot to do that.
It's the backside of the building.
You know where that pole, the power pole is at the corner of the building? The
Down
back,
here?
yeah,
Over here?
that power pole would be the power source.
Okay.
So it has to be close to that pole. And so the very back corner would be the closest point to the pole, I'm
Okay.
guessing. And we could do, if we wanted to do a pedestal, that's a possibility, but of the least cost way to install it would be to do a wall mount installation. And since we're possibly moving in the near future, I thought, why spend a lot of money on a pedestal when we could easily move a wall mounted one to a new building, or to, once we figured out the whole parking situation here, everything is going to be changing, so we want to keep it flexible, I think, and then we could install it where we most want it, and if we end up moving.
Flexibility is good. I like it.
Okay, so once we hear from DEC and have the go ahead, everybody's good with proceeding with that?
Yeah, we want to have one more discussion about the site here.
Oh, sure, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to,
Here, there's still some concerns.
when Tim's back from vacation, like if Tim and the chief and you, Mike, can
Yeah.
take a look at that corner and see what makes sense, what would be the most convenient and accessible place to do that.
Okay,
And just to be clear, that I just want to make sure I am not missing something, because we're looking at, quotes, so. This money that we would eventually vote to expend would be fully reimbursed.
The grant is 50,000. And these two chargers add up to 47, just a little bit under 47,000. So we have a little bit of spare there.
And is it a reimbursable, or is it a? Like, do we have to
lay out
expend
any money.
first?
It'll be covered. We don't.
Okay.
When we got the two chargers originally, the amount we laid out was $160
Okay,
for $35,000 of chargers. So.
And-
we should not have to lay out anything.
okay, and that's good news. And in terms of these chargers versus the chargers that we have, particularly the one that is broken and we cannot get any assistance in repairing, these are not going to have those problems, I assume?
This charger will be faster It's a different company.
It's not.
It has a, right, has a 3-year warranty and a 5-year cloud network guarantee. So we'll be, to be able to communicate drivers and have a payment system set up.
Okay.
This one will be a payment system right from the start. It's not gonna be a freebie. And so that'll be set up right at the outset. And it should grant, the grant will cover the installation, right? There won't be any additional costs. Should all be covered.
I'm a fan, so long as we sort through the appropriate location.
Yep. Okay, any other questions? We will be moving forward. Next item was to talk about an LWRP grant. I think that's gonna be on our agenda for the joint meeting anyways, but,
It is, I just think it's a good idea of this board to know what we're talking about going in the door, so you have time to think about it before we're in discussion with our counterparts. So do you want to just say a little bit about it?
Sure.
Thanks.
The plan is to essentially submit the same application we did last year, and that is primarily to update the Board of Evaluation plan to formalize that into plan that the state can approve. It means us to do extra steps that we haven't done before, like creating a review board and there's some tweaks to local law. But in updating it all in the process, and it would incorporate a harder look at the recreation assets that we did a couple of years ago as well. So that was part of the update. I already talked to the people who gave us estimates for last year. They've got the costs. Their estimate was the same, so the budget and everything would be the same as it was. The town, I will say, at the last meeting did give us the go ahead. The town is the applicant on that, so it covers the needs today.
And how much again?
I believe the full budget is 96,000, and the request is 81 something, because we are in a potential environmental justice area.
Right.
So we're requesting 85%.
Yeah.
Instead of 10%. And they have not told us that we've done that the past 2 years, and they have not said that we didn't qualify
No.
for that, so. So that's the thing that we can. They've not passed it.
it's on the agenda.
They discussed it and said they were in favor of the application, but the resolutions will be presented and that's.
That's where my community.
Yeah, that will be on the agenda for the joint meeting.
And those have been updated, and I think it's sent them to my Mary Ann. Yep. I'll do it again, obviously.
I mean, I think my big interest, I think an assessment of rec resources would be really useful. My big interest in this is, and why it's been frustrating to not have been funded for the last couple of years, is because historically you didn't need to go through this process to get the designation to access the grant monies that the village has historically been able to access that have allowed us to do some good work. Well, now those winds have changed. Now you need this official designation in order to be able to go forward to request those monies. And our debriefs the last couple of years, and particularly this last year, when we didn't receive it, were basically from the state's perspective, Department of State's perspective, like, we don't know why you weren't funded, like the money just didn't reach down. Maybe some, yeah, anyway, so I guess we're just hoping that this, sort of this time around, we get it, because at some point, at a certain point, we won't be eligible for LWRP monies without having it.
I will say that, one of the things they told us is that, so typically for the CFAs, it goes to your regional council and they score 20% of your application, and then it goes to the state and they score the other 80%.
And the state had told us that we scored lower on our region. From the state's perspective, we scored very high, but our region scored us lower. And even to the extent where US said this was sort of happening around the state, and they were considering going to make presentations to the regional councils to help them understand the importance of planning, you know, often implementation of projects get more points than planning projects do. So we went to the regional council meeting on Monday, they did a forum, the co-chairs did a forum this weekend on Tuesday morning. And I pointed this out to them and said, I would just ask, because they went through how everything scored and all of that, and they didn't have a rubric or a table. It's all about projects. And so, I asked that the council consider the importance of planning and continuing to update those plans so we can then implement projects that are in the plans.
Great.
Because again, it's sort of tagged on to what they are pitching in this tour they're doing in the North Country is that regional councils have to update their plan, their strategic plans this year. And he was talking about how important it is. Planning, they didn't really want to do it. So I kind of tagged on to that well. And I also spoke with Steve Hunt, who's the regional director for Empire State Development. And he didn't understand at first why, unless whatever we were proposing was not consistent with the original plan. But then when I said it was Department of State and waterfront stuff, he said, okay, that makes sense now. We can talk more about this, and they had to go on to the next thing, but it's on his radar.
Great.
Their radar.
Good work, Lee.
And also, they give us a couple of pointers where we might get another point here or there, but again, you never know who's gonna score, who's gonna really know how to interpret things. So I think we just have to keep trying. We've had a lot of success with the program. It's allowed us to do a lot of great things, so.
Well, that's some progress though.
It is progress, that's great.
Education. Schools kind of key.
Anything else? I was asked to also put on here the DEC WQIP grant, Willow Island. What's involved there? You know, the idea was to have a little discussion about that.
So, you, at the last meeting, approved the plan for Willow Island,
Right.
and we are moving forward with, getting documents prepared to bid out the first phase of the project.
Right.
Second phase, as is, proposed, is the shoreline stabilization work that will be done and, basis. Riparian buffer. So that's it. The consultants indicated that VC was a good source of funding for that. And the water quality improvement program, not only will it help do the final design and engineering work that needs to be done, but it will pay to do the actual work. So, I have spoken with, we have to get an estimate, so I've spoken with consultants to do an estimate for us and then working on that. So once we have the budget, we'll be able to sort of finalize that application, as I said, the extended dates out to August 11th. I guess a little bit more time to do that together.
Does Whittam do the engineering work for that, or does that have to go to somebody else?
Whittam is a landscape architecture firm. They actually subbed out the engineering work that was done for this project that they're doing right now. To put the plan together. I asked her if that firm was capable of doing the work. And she said she thought they were, but that they would probably charge us extra to do an estimate.
Right.
Because it wasn't in the scope of the thing. They contracted for. So I actually reached out to CNS, the other firm that we've worked with a lot, and been very good about helping us with estimates and things like that. And they are the ones that are.
Okay.
And I did not see anywhere in the application where they require a resolution from the board. So I didn't prepare one.
Okay.
If you want to do one, just to have it on record, in case it's approved, to the authority sign documents and things like that, we can, or we can wait until we.
Well, if you've dug down into it, then you haven't found anything, and I think we're okay for the time being.
Yeah, I don't think we need it for the application,
Okay.
so we're good for the moment.
Great.
Okay.
And I know. we need it.
Otherwise, we.
So we can figure, well, we're meeting, yeah, we've done something.
That book.
And then, but we're gonna.
Okay, thank you. Next item was the joint meeting for the town and village boards on July 26th at 6 o'clock. I circulated a draft of the agenda and legal notice. I've already added the St. Lawrence County 250th
No.
request. Is there anything else that you see there that needed to be done, or? We're gonna talk about the Go Adapt workshop, the final report, a little something on 64 Main. Mary Ann wants to talk about a chamber agreement. I think that's a little premature, but she wants to have a conversation. That's fine.
I make sure we can go on that.
So,
Right.
when do you-
Oh, right, yeah, no, we're back to the Chamber of Commerce.
Oh,
discussion.
yeah. So, I don't know if it's premature, but, on there's composting. That's becoming more of a problem. Mary Ann would like to talk about the next steps for the new municipal building.
Buy some lottery tickets, it's $1 billion.
Yeah, it's $1 billion.
We could have a nice building.
And then the final thing was the LWRP board resolution. So I don't know if there's anything else. I just throw it at you to make sure.
I got one,
I haven't heard from anybody, so we're good then. Moving right along, local government conference, October 10th. I know, Tim, you were asking to go to that. Yeah, that's. Didn't see why we wouldn't do that. That's,
They didn't have code enforcement for that section. Zoning and planning.
so, we need a motion to approve him to go to that. It's a day trip.
Usually, if you're very late, or is interested in one, it's only half a day this year.
It's in Potsdam, so it's not.
Something late.
No.
No, they're having night house.
After lunch. They won't have lunch, it's done.
I usually go to that. Yeah.
So just let me know if anybody's interested.
I would move to allow anyway.
Yeah.
Would like to go to Potsdam to this conference.
I don't know what the cost is.
Go.
$35.
I think we can afford
I think we can probably
Yeah.
find
Second.
money. Second.
it. Okay.
Most articulate motion I made.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. With that, public comment? Anybody have public comment? No comment from the public. Very good. I need a motion to go into executive session for personnel issue.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Chief, you're gonna hang out for a minute?
Good night.
Yeah, me too.
Enjoy the evening. It looks like it's